So the Church of St. Stephen's. This is believed where the Church of St. Stephen. This is where they thought that Stephen was martyred for the faith as Saul looked on. So the orange rooftops is the Church of St. Stephen, right near the Garden of Gethsemane. Here from the Mount of Olives, we are looking out at the old city. We are going to be going to the Garden of Gethsemane soon.
واحد $100 في هذا ولا مسكين.
Most of the time, the city was encircled by the walls, and the actual walls that you can see were built by the Ottomans, by Sulaiman the Magnificent. And Sulaiman the Magnificent tried to get a city similar to the time of Jesus and the Byzantine time. But the architecture excluded the city of Silwan outside the city walls, and for that reason they paid their lives as a price. They were executed, and according to the tradition they are buried at Jaffa Gate, or next to Jaffa Gate. If we are passing by, I will try to show them to you. Okay? Did open, not the Franciscans, sorry. The Ottomans did open at the end of their mandatory here another gate, which is the new gate. After building the new hosting building for the pilgrims who were coming from Europe to visit the holy sites of Jerusalem. It is the center of Notre Dame. Can we see the center from here? Yes, I can. Please go back to the city. Go back to the two great domes of the Holy Sepulchre. Go just behind them. You have a cloister that is high enough, which is smaller than the one of Jesus the Redeemer. And at the top it's gray or black. Can you see it? Yeah. It is the Saint Xavier Church cloister, and this is the official seat of the Franciscan Palace. But once you are there, go to the right. You have a building just behind the sun, 5-6 trees, pine trees. You can see them. Behind them there is a big building. This is the center of Notre Dame that was built to accommodate the pilgrims at the end of the Ottoman Empire. And from there was a new gate opened to lead next or to lead nearer to the Holy Sepulchre Church out of the center of Notre Dame. Okay? Came with sticks and other weapons and lights and high priest and Jewish authorities. And Jesus was calm enough, even though that he knew that he's going to die. He was calm enough. He did ask them, whom you're looking for? And they said, Jesus of Nazareth. What did he answer him? What did he answer them? Sorry.
It is me.
It is me. I'm the one. It's me, or I'm the one. In Hebrew, it's Ahyeh Asher Ahyeh. And if you notice that they were the same words I'm talking about, the same words of God said to Moses.
I am.
When Moses asked God, if the people are asking me, who sent you? How do I answer? You answer, I am the one who I am. I am the one who I am. Knowing that in Hebrew language, and you might ask Shai about it, there is not the verb to be. The verb to be is missing. And in Judaism, the verb to be is the existence, and God is the existence, and God is love. See? Mm-hmm. In Arab language, we do have the verb to be, but in the daily life language, we don't use it. In English, I say, I am Ramzi. In Arabic, I say, I Ramzi. You see? But officially, we use it. Friends, the church here is modern one. And in the Kidron Valley itself, lower down, will be a Christian graveyard for a short time. Because the Christian community is usually using the Muslim as graveyard, but during 48 to 67, Christians were not able to reach Muslim because it was under their control, and they were burying their dead people in Kidron Valley downstairs.
And the significance of the rocks upon the grave?
The significance of the rock, Tahiyat Hassan. The significance of the rock is...
You put a rock in as a sign of visiting the tomb.
Maybe this was taught or they learned it from the Bedouin community on the way out of Egypt. Maybe. In the Bedouin culture, whenever there's a dead man buried in the desert, they put big stones to indicate that there's a tomb, and they kind of keep a distance, respect, and so on. Because now he's not in the world, he's in the hands of God.
That's all right, where'd you go? You can see that in Jewish cemeteries back home too. When family go to visit, they leave a rock.
They leave a rock also the stairs. Okay. Here also, it might be a reason for the weather that flowers cannot remain for a long time, mainly during summertime. If you come in August, July, and you put a flower, it's not remaining for 1 single hour. 30 minutes, I assure you it's dead. It's too hot, more than you can imagine. And it's dry as well, it's not humid. That's why we can tolerate it. But it's coming, Connie. What's his name?
I forgot.
Barluzzi, Antonio Barluzzi. He built this church in the year 1924 on the spot of a Crusader church, on the spot of Byzantine church. But you know, there was a difference between the actual church, which is exactly on the spot of the Byzantine church, and the Crusader church was a little bit more to the right. And you have the plan that's showing how were the two churches, Crusader, Byzantine, and the actual one. What's amazing that Antonio Barluzzi did as a dark church. Why? He wanted to remind us that this event took place at night, and it's the place where Jesus was arrested. So it's kind of a sad place as well. And Jesus was sad also in his prayer. Secondly, you will see a mosaic floor. It's not the original one, but you will see parts of the original floor under the glass. You will see some glass inside. Beneath it, you have original mosaic floor. And notice that it's done, the actual one is done on the opposite way. And by the law of restoration of mosaic, you have to distinguish the original one by the restored one. That's why you find the direction of mosaic is going opposite way. Secondly, on the bottom of the church, you'll find the rock where Jesus did his prayer. When he prayed, if you are lucky, there's no mass, you can come, you can go and touch the rock or pray in front of it. If not, you can still go inside the church, but in silence. As usual, I'm not allowed to explain in, that's why I'm stopping here. I would like to send you in for your personal prayers if you would like to, for your pictures, but always in silence. And it's always asked that hats are removed for men. I don't know what's time. What's the time now? He kind of graveyard, but it's not a real graveyard. It's mausoleum to gather the bones of dead people, and we call this a kind of sarcophagus from Greek, I guess. Sarcophagus, yeah. The eater of flesh, but not in the main meaning of eaten. No, because already people are dead, they are buried. It seems, and we have this culture, that we don't have enough space. We remove dead people to bury other ones, but not in the same year. We wait minimum we wait 15 years. It's better to wait even for 20 years. I remember when my grandmother died year 2000, and her tomb was open to bury my uncle, her son, about 15 years or 17 years later. Okay. So that was accepted, because we don't have enough space in our burials. So in our traditions nowadays, we took the bones, we were throwing them in kind of well to keep all the bones together. Nowadays there's a change in the mentality. They take the old bones, they bury the new dead man or woman, and with the old bones next to him. And it's always written who's buried inside first. Here, this graveyard or mausoleum, sarcophagus, were belonging to the first Jewish Christian community, the Judeo-Christian community. You remember I mentioned them much in Galilee. Yeah, and we have some gravities on the sarcophagus that is reflecting this community. I repeat that the first Christian in the country were originally Jewish ones. Jews who were listening to Jesus and later to other apostles and their descendants. So the first ones kept both religions, Judaism and Christianity, until the church was more and more open to the non-Jews, mainly with St. Paul, and later on with the spread of the church at the Byzantine time. So here we have, as we are outside the city walls and as we are on the Mount of Olives where were buried the Jews, we have this Jewish Christian community have their small graveyard. Area of Gethsemane. What means Gethsemane? Gethsemane, oil press. It seems that in ancient times, people were having their oil on the spot. They were pressing their olives on the spot. Not as nowadays they go in factories and the oil presses, modern ones. Because nowadays we have more modern vehicles to transport the goods. Not as before. It is known also as the Church of Gethsemane, okay, as the Church of all nations. Why all nations? Because there were many countries to finance the construction of the church. It's also called the Church of Agony of Christ. And here comes your story. And we said we will mention ourselves. Jesus prayed and wept. Yes, it was a hard prayer for Jesus, and he was suffering here. What is called in religious name the agony of Christ. He was praying, saying, God, if you can let this chalice pass away from me, but that your wish or your will be done and not mine. And here, after this prayer, he got arrested. And he had with him apostles. How many? 3 plus 8. He got all of them with him, unless one was missing. Who was missing?
Judas.
Okay, so there were 11. With the 11, he came from the Mount Zion. He crossed the Kidron Valley. And he did ask the 8 to wait him. And he took the other 3.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And I didn't say it, but notice that they are the same 3 he took with him on the Mount of Transfiguration. There should be the witness of his glory and his divine life. Here he asked them to be the witness of his misery, of his sadness and his humanity. But in both areas they felt asleep. They could not resist and they witnessed nothing. But later, or they not witnessed but they did not understand. But later, after the resurrection of Christ and when they got the Holy Spirit on them, they understood everything and they were preaching what happened with Jesus. I had a question leaving the Dominus Flevit about the age of olives, and I asked the gentleman to wait. What's your name, sorry?
Rick.
I did ask Rick to wait until we reach here. And going in, I asked you to notice the size, and you can compare these olives with the olives of the Mount of Olives over there. These ones look older, as you can see. Now the question, how old are they? You have an idea? Mark? Not at all. Don't worry. Rick or Rich?
Either or. I go by Rick.
Rick. How old do you think are these olive trees? The oldest
I
one
don't.
you have seen.
When they're in Nazareth, they were saying those trees could have been 2,000 years old. So I'm gonna.
Nazareth, this is that.
Yeah.
I'm going to say 3,000. I'll give you 4,000.
Well, next, you say 200. But there's a very huge one here. This one, it won't be 200. It's, I guess, a little bit more even. 300. Yeah. Friends, you can never guess the exact age of an olive tree or a tree in general, because to know the age you need to cut the tree itself. So it's there. But you can imagine, according to your knowledge of olive trees, according to my knowledge, I can say yes, this one is about 300 years old or 250 years old. Imagination. But there is a huge one. It is possible to be 1,000 years old. Friends, I would like to attract your attention to this information that an olive tree can live about 1,000 years only, more or less. But from the same tree, you can have some new raisins pushing up, and the new tree is born, and another 1,000 years, and the third one as well, and the fourth one as well. You know what? The Romans, as a military method, they cut all the trees next to Jerusalem. And this is Josephus Flavius who tells us about this. And he said that they did it for the distance of 2 kilometers. Let me say 1 mile. How far away are we from the city? Not far away. I guess this man did exaggerate in his writing. But I do believe that these trees are really were cut by the Romans, not because of the city, because they were on the way leading to the city. So yes, these trees were cut by the Romans, and maybe also by the Crusaders. And it's believed that these trees are from the days of Crusaders. By the way, even the old ones are still giving olive fruits. Yeah. Friends, we are reaching to Garden of Olives. The Garden of Olives is made of 2 sections. First section, the church. Second section is the garden itself. We have seen the olives. Now what is about the church? The church has different names. Sepulchral Church. This is the Lutheran Church, the Church of Christ the Redeemer, that you are going to have a service tomorrow. That is the Lutheran Church built by Wilhelm II, the Kaiser, as you see. It's a new one since 1906 or 1904. Okay, now if you go more to the left side, you have this nice neighborhood. You have some domes in the first big building that we can see inside the walls, and where you can see kind of tree there. You go further behind, you have another big white dome. Can you see it?
Yes.
This is the whole neighborhood is the Jewish quarter, and that dome is the dome of an old synagogue from the 15th century of a Jewish community that is called the Synagogue of the Destruction of the Temple, the Hurva. And it seems that it was destroyed so often, mainly that the money to be built was taken by the Arabs, and sometimes the Jewish community was not having enough money to pay back the Arabs, so they were destroying the building by their own hands. I hear such story. It's not reasonable for me 100%, but it could be. Anyhow, it was built once before the getting out of the Jordanians of the city, before 67. I repeat that Israel get everything for the independence war, but lost East Jerusalem, including the Jewish quarter, and not a single Jew remained inside the city walls. They were all out, and Jordanians settled in the neighborhood as other places. and before they left, the synagogue was destroyed, and this synagogue was rebuilt again in the year 2009.
Inside that wall
Yeah,
is East Germany or East Germany? East Jerusalem?
we are here at East Jerusalem.
What's inside the wall? What's that
The
wall
city
separate?
wall, we call the old city of Jerusalem.
Old city.
This is what we call the old city of Jerusalem. Yeah, to be very specific in the name, old city of Jerusalem. Now, if you will go more to the left, but you get out of the walls, you can see also on the top of the hill a nice church with a nice cloister. This is the second church built by Wilhelm II, the church or the abbey of the Dormition of Mary.
Oh.
Yeah, the one I said it's under construction, it's closed. This is what we call Mount Zion, my friends. And on Mount Zion, we don't have only the Dormition of the Abbey Dormition, the church of the Dormition, but we have also the cenacle where Jesus took his last supper. That church, there was a church from Byzantine time, transformed to a mosque, then transformed back to a church, transformed back to a mosque by the Muslim community after the Crusaders by Salah ad-Din. Why? Why? Because the Muslims believe that there was the tomb of King David, which is not exactly right. I guess the mistake comes from the Crusaders themselves, and the name of King David, the Christian community was kicked out, and the Muslims put their hands on, transformed it to a mosque, and it remained the mosque until the coming of Israel, until 48, when it was transformed into synagogue, the lower part, but the upper part, it's an open, free space for everyone. Muslim, Christian, Jews can come and pray, but on the individual level. Unless for the Pentecost Day, Christians can come and having an official ceremony, as well as Holy Thursday, because of the Holy Week of Passover or Easter. Is that clear? Okay. Now, I don't know if you see well the Dormition church. It's outside the city walls. You see the road that goes up with the city walls. It's reaching up there. There's a white bus. Behind the white bus, more to the right, is the Dormition Abbey. But now I want you to go down from the bus, and you have a kind of free space without any buildings. Some buildings, but not that much. This is also another church, the Church of St. Peter in Gallicanto. It is believed to be the place where Peter denied Jesus 3 times just before he was crucified, after the Last Supper. And at the Last Supper, at the moment, Jesus told Peter, before the cock is chanting, you will deny me 3 times. So it happened there, and it is believed to be the house of High Priest Caiaphas. Friends, I want you now to go further down in the valley. Maybe it's better if we approach or we go more to the right. Thank you. I appreciate it. But now I brought you here to show you lower part, this neighborhood that we call Silvan. I just mentioned the Silvan yesterday, but I don't know if he mentioned the day before because I was not with you. And in Silvan, just you can see the green area here below the street. You can see the green area. Just to the left of the green area, you have the beginning of the buildings, but you have some terraces are visible, and upper you have a kind of a big wall. Can you see this big wall? Okay, this is what is called the city of David. This is what it's called, the city of David. Is it really the city of David? For me, as Palestinian Christian, I will say no way. Because as Christian, for me, the city of David is Bethlehem. And it's not me who's saying that. It is the Gospel of Luke when the angel of God appears to the shepherds next to Bethlehem, he tells them, today was born for you the Messiah, the Savior, in the city of David, in Bethlehem. So it's not me who says that Bethlehem is the city of David. And David was born in Bethlehem, and he was anointed king in Bethlehem. But after that, after 7 years of his kingdom as a king in Hebron, he moved to Jerusalem and he occupied Jerusalem. And he occupied that part. That part was Jerusalem, not inside the city walls of nowadays. Okay? So the first city of Jerusalem was there. And why it was there? That's what? Simply, my friends, it's the matter of water. Water. And this is where we have the only unique water spring in the region of Jerusalem. And there's no other springs in Jerusalem. And when the temple stood, there was really problem from where to get water to supply the temple and the city. So they brought water mainly through the days of King Herod and the days of Romans from the south of Bethlehem, Solomon's Pool. Maybe somebody did show them to you, I'm not sure. And the water was pumped until the Temple Mount area and the city of Jerusalem. But indeed, the terraces are next to the water spring, more to the left. And in front of the city, we have this valley that we call the Kidron Valley. We passed, no, not with you. I passed with the French family that time, that days ago. Not with you, I'm sorry. But we'll be passing by the Kidron Valley when it ends at the Dead Sea. It meets with another valley coming from the Wailing Wall or Western Wall. It's not seen from here, goes in the middle of the road, goes down, and the city of David is encircled by 2 valleys. And the third valley is coming from the left side. It's really seen with the construction of houses, and there is an empty space before the upper side of the town or the city. This is the Hinnom Valley. Hinnom, and it becomes later Gehinnom, which means the Garden of Hinnom, and it became Gehinnom in Hebrew and in Arabic, the hill, not the paradise, the hill or hill, becomes the hill valley.